Hello, everyone, and welcome. Yes, my name is Arafire, a very tired Arafire. So, we are doing a TFNation haul and roundup video. We do these following the big TFNations and the minicons as well. So, I'll do a quick run through with the event, what went on, my experience of it, try and shout out everybody that I've met. I'm sure I'm going to forget someone, but I'm going to do my best not to. I've even made a list, and I'm going to go through my haul as well. It's done for another year. It went quite quickly, went by. It was good fun. God, am I tired from it. I just crashed yesterday when I got home. But it really was good fun. A good exhaustion, if that makes sense. Great to talk to so many people, and yet there are still so many people I could have spoken to. So many people I wish I spoke to more. I was particularly looking forward to this TF Nation. Not so much everything about it or the panels or whatever else. As some of you have known, it's not exactly been the best year for me, so I've had something to really look forward to no matter what. In the days leading up to TF Nation couldn't come quick enough. So when I got there, there was a sense of just feeling like home. There was a sense of a safe place to forget the world. And I don't think that's wrong. I don't think that was an overcalculation by any point. I had a great time. As soon as I walked in, as soon as I walked to reception, it was great. I even got recognised the second I was queuing up to get my wristband, which was nice. That's got to be a record time. But that was lovely. So, yeah, let's get on with the day's events. So the news came out pretty early on that one of the headline acts, or certainly one of the bigger names of the billing, Scott McNeil, would not be able to attend TF Nation. Yeah, that was a bit of a punch. That was a bit rubbish. And obviously, TF Nation were profusely apologising, like it's hardly their fault. But yeah, these things happened. And as I said to Billy when I spoke to him on the matter, you've been going for nearly 10 years and you haven't had this happen to you. By the law of averages, it was going to happen sooner or later. Some of you will know this, a lot of you will know this. I never got to meet him in Auto Assembly Days or any other conventions. So I was really looking forward to this. It was a legend pass that I booked and was really looking forward to. It just didn't come to pass on this occasion, but yeah, it did put a mild dampener on the event, but I was still looking forward to going nevertheless. So once I was signed in, booked into the hotel, I started attending some panels on the Friday. My first panel was the Preserving the Dream panel, which was Dave Wallace, Andrew Turnbull and Chris Carter going through trying to restore some comics, notably around Dreamwave, where fragments have been found over time or donated by the likes of Simon Furman. And it was really interesting when you see some of these images and rough copies scanned in and how the quality really fades over time. And I thought Chris Carter did a really good job of explaining it, so much so that for what my father used to do years ago, it was quite relative. I could understand a lot of what he was cutting across with the colours and how everything becomes effectively hexagons when you zoom right in. So I found that panel quite interesting, and it was the first of many Dreamwave offerings, which I think a certain Mr. Wallace was very proud of. Then it was a nice panel, and a panel I hope we see more of, which is Forging Your Own Path. And we had creators from the Forge, be it artists and creators from producing other wares, pins and stickers and the likes of. And it was just really cool hearing what the creative process was like and having a chance for the creators to put their stuff on screen. And I even heard a couple of them talking afterwards saying that that actually really helped their trading in the Trader Hall on the Saturday. The fact that they were given an opportunity to explain the process and what they do and why they choose the characters they do. I found it very useful, I found it very cool, and yeah, so nice to have a friend up there as well in David Cousins to get his moment in the limelight. David actually dominated the weekend. He was even allowed to go on stage with David Wallace, and he was presented with a commemorative VHS tape, which they were handing out as souvenirs for people who were attending a certain film screening that day in the Cineworld Cinema Complex. It was really cool. Don't think David expected it. He was sitting next to me at the time, so I got some nice photos, and that's all been uploaded. And yeah, it was just really nice. We then had Triple Takeover's kind of seasonal panel now. They've at least done the last 3 years on the trot there, maybe 4, and they have been doing more interactive panels, so it's kind of their Room 101 style of things if you've known it from before. Very much crowd participation and categories that they were talking about. What's the best dialogue? What's the worst dialogue? What's the best big toy? What's the worst big toy? And all in all, it was quite cool. Good audience participation. Went on for probably an hour and a half, I think it was billed for, and it flew by quite nicely. So really well done to the guys there. It was very much good fun. We had a couple of films being played at that point, so people more or less went their separate ways to do so, and it was an opportunity Friday evening to do the socialising. People were mostly started to arrive by that point, Friday afternoon. So yeah, it was quite cool just to sit around the bar, chill out, and I was starting to get selfies with people, starting to make friends. People were again coming up to me, welcoming me to the convention, congratulating me on my YouTube channel and also the podcast I do with Chris, Carnage Creations. So that was nice to know that at least I had a recognisable face, albeit. But we all know the business is done Saturday morning, and it was very early for some people, waking up, setting alarms, people not staying up too late the night before to queue for the Trader Hall. I indeed had early access, and it was worth it because the Saturday had been completely sold out, in as much as they were not allowing anyone else to come in on the day, whether that was early access, general access to the Trader Hall, Saturday in general, or Club Con. Saturday is undoubtedly TF Nation's busiest day in August, and really felt like it. So when I went down and got my breakfast early doors, people were still there. People were queuing from something like about 6:30 in the morning to get right at the front of the queue. I was lucky to be fairly in front of the queue. That was quite cool. What was really nice is a friend of mine, Sam's Formers, who was volunteering for TF Nation at the weekend. He could see us more or less as sitting on the floor trying to pass the time. We had at least over an hour to go, and he brought out one of the Action Edition blockies, the Optimus Prime, for us all to build at once to see if we can get it done before doors opened. And I'm sorry to say we were on very literally the last leg of Optimus Prime, and then it would have been constructed together, and we sadly run out of time. But it was good fun. It passed the time, it focused the mind, and yeah, something I think could be a theme going forward. Could we have a bit more building or audience participation? Otherwise, you are just kind of standing around or sitting around. I have said it every year, you must get early access, and I get it if people don't want to do that, but my God, does it flood in. And it's just nicer to breathe when the doors open, when you've got that first hour to yourselves. And you can go around and, of course, say hello to some of the traders who you may or may not be friends with, or meet them for the first time, and get some of your wares early. But when the general access happens about an hour or so later, you could not move. It did feel very busy in there this year, more noticeably than any other point. You really need to go and do your shopping early and then get out. I find it's a better way. And it's a long queue. It's all the way down to main reception if you know the layout of the Hilton. But it was great fun. I managed to get some good wares. We'll go through that in a minute. Other panels started happening at that point. You had Neil Kaplan's panel, which was really cool. I annoyingly didn't get a photograph with him, which was a shame. But every time I heard him talk or was listening to his panel, it was just really cool just hearing what he had to say, and just a different approach to Transformers and a different approach to TF Nation, his first time associated. And as it came across right at the end, I feel he got what it meant to be at TF Nation. He got almost a little bit emotional, and I think that was lovely to see. I think it really struck a chord with him, the welcoming family aspect, and I thought that was really nice. He said he hadn't been in the UK for quite some years, and all in all, I don't think he regrets coming at all. Caught a bit of Andrew Wildman and Simon Furman's live podcast, the podcast they do, which is The Rest is Giant Robots Live, and it was just quite cool hearing them talk. It was more or less their podcast with a few audience participation questions, but yeah, that was good fun to watch. Sophia Miles was on stage next, and probably the first time we've actually had a live action film celebrity guest at TF Nation, if I remember rightly. That was really cool, and just hearing her side of things, and it was really fun hearing audience participation to her for some of the questions that came across. And I think this really takes some of the actors by surprise as well. So naturally, if you're going to a Transformers convention, Sophia and most other actors would think, I'm going to get asked a lot of Transformers questions. But I think it takes them by surprise when they're asked of films and other roles that they've been in that possibly are lesser, smaller, or earlier in their career. And a couple of questions came to her which she laughed and chuckled to. I think caught her by a bit of surprise, but nice questions to be asked. And yeah, she gave some good answers to them as well. It was quite an interesting insight to hear from her side of Hollywood. Going on to possibly my favourite guest was Evan Michael Lee. Just the coolest cat you could hope to meet. Of course he's Jazz, so anyone who knows he's voiced Jazz in the Transformers 1 film, and he was quickly in association with Cineworld signed up to be TF Nation's first guest when announced after Reading 2024. And as soon as he was on stage, he's too cool for school, isn't he? He's a cool cat. And I just, listening to him talk, hearing how he's approaching voice acting and how he became the voice of Jazz, instantly it felt at home. I'm like, oh yeah, you're Jazz, aren't you? You just tick the boxes. And when I got to speak to him after his panel, just brilliant. He even said to me, oh, your tattoos are cool. And I said, I'm not cool, you're cool. To which he replied, guilty. But it was just great talking to him. Just the nicest guy you could hope to meet. And much like with Neil Kaplan, first time doing conventions, certainly in the UK, and I think it just really struck a chord with him. I think it really landed that it was a welcoming place to be, and he was very well accepted. Trader Hall closed, and then we entered into the evening of ClubCon. So we went into charity auction, I think was the first one, and there were some nice wares of that. I did try and bid on the Dinobot sword that went up there, but was quickly outbidded. And there was a nice little inter-friend rivalry for a beachcomber. To my right, two friends of mine were unknowingly bidding against one another, to which I chose not to tell them, and I wanted them to run up the price because it all went to charity anyway. It was good fun, and seeing the look on their faces when they found out they were bidding against each other at the end is really fun. I'm going to give them a lot of stick for that. Cosplay came after that. The cosplay is brilliant. I absolutely love it. I was annoyingly sat a little too far back to get some photos, so I tried to run around to the front at the end and just get whatever photos I could. Particularly if you see people in the bar leading up to the cosplay, it's probably the best time to do it because it can be a bit of a swamp trying to get everyone to get their photos after or just before the cosplay panel in that room. So try and get them where you can. I did get some really cool photos, and there are some great people in the mech category, in the human category, and they're always willing to have their photos taken, which I think is really nice. I don't like to just run up to them with a camera, but really good fun. It just gets better every year. And then it was the Matrix test, which is normally followed by groans of the audience of Mr. McFeely making the test far too hard. But they did a bit of a different one this year that you can still participate with, but it was Transformers the show crew along with Jack Lawrence, joined by Toy-Fu, and it was a bit of a one-on-one game show style. They had to kind of guess it and get points, and as the quiz went on, you'd have eliminations. Ultimately won by Paul from Transformers the Show, the lesson-seen Paul of Transformers the Show. But yeah, it was good fun. It was nice to have the audience participation as well. A QR code went up on screen and you can do it on your phone. You could also change your answers if you got it wrong, but don't tell them that. Not that I did that, of course. And then the final act of the evening of ClubCon was Transformers None. Very nicely done. This was a part one of a two-part slide of a panel with Jim Sorensen and Chris McFeely. Now, if this is anything like previous years, it's going to be really good fun to watch. It is very much a treasure trove of lost media they're getting into a habit of finding now, and that is so good because this was kind of what the first season of the Transformers cartoon could have been. They were found a lot of pre-scripts. They found a lot of early artwork, how some of the characters... One of the main changes is Starscream's character. Now, I want to put a disclaimer up, as I was told very firmly by Chris McFeely, this is an artist impression, a change of representation. This is not canon. Do not believe it is. That's just how it was produced in a very early draft of the script that never came to pass. This in particular was a character called Whirlpool, who was effectively Starscream's character, was a female character, and defected from the Autobots to the Decepticons, and as part of her character development, her main drive was not to overthrow Megatron, but was to end Optimus Prime, and then to try and justify her decision for switching sides. Again, it was really quite interesting to see the character's development and what would ultimately end up as Starscream. There was a lot of talk of, well, you can't have girls in Transformers because it's a boys' cartoon, a boys' franchise. But then the studio would want female Transformers. It was an interesting dynamic, playing off one another. How as well, Whirlpool would be a quadruple changer, which was ambitious to say the least. You saw early incarnations of Muffy or Muffler, which was really cool, which was very much a crossover between a GoBot and what would ultimately be Bumblebee. Really good fun. And by the time Saturday had finished, then it was really a time to let your hair down. I certainly did. I stayed up far too late and Yeah, did spend a lot of my time in the bar, but the early days trading was done. A lot of the panels were completed, and it's just really cool just to hang out with people once again. Sunday certainly felt subdued. I think a lot of people left Sunday morning, which was a bit of a shame in some cases, but there were also some people still around. We had some more panels to do and a second day of trading at the hall. Trader Hall opens a bit later, around 10 o'clock. The queue is nowhere near as bad. A lot of the hall has been pilfered by the first day's trading, so whilst there can be a reallocation of stock, other stock coming out, other stock being brought in, it is possibly a little bit ransacked from the first day, but you do find some nice gems there. Before that, there was a Blockies panel. Mark from Blockies, who I've spoken to many a times, did a bit of an introduction and played some videos to the products that Blockies are bringing available. It had to be a little bit rushed. There was a lot to get through, going through everything from the Defender versions to the Galaxy versions to the Action Editions and whatever else they've got coming up, the other lines outside of Transformers. Sadly, we did not have time to do questions at the end. However, we did hear, something that I didn't know, is that toy lines seem to be coming out on an average of every 3 months, whether it's in the Galaxy line, a Defender line, or Action Edition. There is a time for these things, such as the end of year edition, if I get my pointing right, the Gold Lagoon set there, that was a 2024 edition. So, as such, there is going to be a 2025 edition. These things are on a Rolodex of time. Carried on doing a few other panels. There was the Mining Energon panel and also the second part of the Chris McFeely and Jim Sorensen Transformers None panel. So we got much more content and much more look into the scripts as to what was coming out. Talks of things about how Teletran 1 is being referred to. So yeah, that was really interesting. One of the last panels of the day that I was very keen to attend, Finding Your Voice. This was Chris Finney making a nice appearance, Evan Michael Lee and Neil Kaplan talking around voice acting and very much the somber side of it, I suppose. There was a lot of focus around not getting roles and not getting accepted, facing rejection and having a tough skin for it. And I thought that was really useful to hear, because it's not necessarily, for people who want to get in voice acting, going to be work upon work and roles upon roles. And it was just quite a shame to hear some of the more negative side of it, but I guess more of a realistic side of it. So something that Evan said, sometimes the emails can dry up, sometimes it goes quiet, how they got through the lockdown periods. But it was very interesting to hear how they do these things, why they do things, what sort of agents they use. Again, something that we just take for granted when we see a final product of a cartoon or a film. And then I more or less finished off the day going to the Constructicon panel at the end. Sadly, there was no Scott McNeil, so his advertised panel did not come to pass. That was kind of going to be the headline closer. So the Constructicon panel was good. On stage, it was Billy, it was Dave, and it was Andrew Turnbull. And instantly they open up to some questions and they like to get some feedback. They've always been very good at doing this. I did not have a question as such, but I made sure I grabbed the microphone as early as I possibly could. I had it in my head that TFNation are always very quick and good to want to say thank you to us. You always give yourselves a round of applause. And don't get me wrong, people do make it a very fun atmosphere. People turn up and make it what it is. Yes, fair enough. But I don't think all of the TFNation crew get the praise they fully deserve. You think about the Scott McNeil situation and how that must have been a frantic change that they must have been dealing with for the matter of days leading up to convention. It's stress you don't need. So I was very quick to grab the microphone and said to them, thank you for everything that you do, which thankfully didn't leave me hanging. The audience followed me in a round of applause, which I was very pleased with. I do want to point out something I may not have conveyed when I grabbed the microphone. That is for all TFNation and supporters, volunteers, the tech guys, anyone doing artwork, anyone doing video packages, just everybody involved. There is a big machine behind it, not just the three gentlemen on stage at that time. Big thank you to you all. Thank you so much for making this event and all other events associated with TFNation just an absolute pleasure to come to. Oh, and just before that, TFNation thought it was nice to put on Code of Hero just before the Constructicon panel, which was great. They put it on in full, so I cried watching that. Thank you so much. I needed that. Closing ceremony's done. Talked a bit about what's coming up, about how Reading is going to be the next mini-con at the end of November, so that'll be cool. I'll go to that one again. That's fairly near to me. Probably a Manchester Minicon, although that did not come up for discussion, but it's happened before, so you would assume it happened again. A lot of praise for the recent Glasgow gathering. That went down well. And then the big news, of course, was TFNation is confirmed that it will return for its 10th convention in the year 2026, in slightly a bit earlier, end of July going into early August, talking around the 40-year anniversary of the 86 movie. Maybe. We'll see. Nothing's been massively leaked, but I think there is going to be some talk around it. Okay, I also want to say thank you to people I've spoken to. I have done my absolute best to make a list, and I've got some photos I'm going to try and put up, the ones that I've saved anyway. So let's try and go through this. First of all, big thank you to Lee, Dave, Paul, Josh, David, Rob and Ashley for kind of taking me under their wing and gave me somewhere to camp over the weekend. Went for a lovely dinner at the end of Sunday, so that was absolutely lovely. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Marcus Bryan, Jermaine, Nolsey, Tony Thrussell, Lucan, Skywarp SES, Mrs. SES, Sam's Formers, Triple T, Transformers the Show and Wider Family, Storm Toy Photography, Chris McFeely, Andy Gold, Thew, Dom, Jason Murray, Jim Sorensen, Paul and Nikki, Guzzy, Ed Peary, Mark and everybody from Blockies, Primetime Toys, all of the associated people there, Rohan and Mrs. Rohan, Max and Me Loves Toys, Erin, Tim K and Den Shepherd for coming over from Germany. Who have I left off? Liam, who I spoke to about his Beast Wars customs. That was really cool. I've definitely messed someone off and I'm trying my best to think of. Bear in mind I'm doing a lot of these by names I know. I certainly have got a lot more faces in my head. Spoke to Gareth as well. That was nice chat. Plastic Crack and Desktop Quick Shot, the two Granger brothers coming down. A nice long drive for them. Brandon, of course, Bayverse of Madness this year. I actually did get a photo with him. I did get a photo with him last year, but annoyingly it didn't save. TJ as well from Toy-Fu. It was really cool talking to her. I haven't had a chance to really talk to her as such. So just having a chat at the bar, it was, yeah, that was nice. There were so many people that I didn't get a chance to talk to. Annoyingly, I didn't get a chance to take a selfie with any of the guys from TFNation, so I will be changing that come Reading. Obviously, all of the guys at Transformers Battersea, they were there outside the Trader Hall as well, having a bit of an offshoot section, but I've seen them there, and hopefully we'll be seeing them again very soon. Very briefly said hello to Toys R Us as well. He was more or less in the side room to the main registration bits, doing some nice stuff there with some releases in the cabinet. Some of the more Studio Series releases. Had a lovely chat with Ed Peary around the Beast Wars podcast. That was nice just to hear that he was a fan. I wouldn't have known. But it was really cool talking to him. Again, I really wish I spoke to him more. I am sure I have missed people off and I'm sure I've missed things from the event. But that was broadly it. That is a lot to put in. And for next year, well, I'll be there, definitely. Whether or not I go there on a Thursday might be a way to go. It is very much becoming the social day. Something Jermaine said to me, and it is a really fair point. Get there on the Thursday and say hello to people. For people who are obviously there Thursday, that is. But when it came to Friday, I did notice this. It was the day that I turned up, so I wanted to talk to people. But I also had to say, I've got to go in 10 minutes. There's a panel starting I want to see. So you end up cutting into your socialising time. It's a thought. It is a way to do it. Obviously, I stayed again this Sunday. The Sunday night, went home on a Monday. That's definitely the way to do it. Do that over the Thursday for sure if you can. It's just a better way to get the maximum experience out of TFNation. Okay, that's that all done. That's the review, and that's the thank yous done. I'm sure I've missed people off. I'm so sorry if I have. I will try and do separate ones if I have. Let's go through a haul, shall we? So, somewhat of a knife in the back was what I was going to be given for having the Legends Pass to go and see Scott McNeil. So, of course, there's your pass. That's what could have been. There was the man. But also came with a free accompanying artwork, which I'm sorry if I've got this wrong. I think I've got this right. Was this Ed Peary doing this one? I think it was. I do seem to recall seeing it on his table when I was talking to him. If I've got that wrong, I'm so sorry. But yeah, it's a lovely artwork of all of the characters in the Beast Wars cartoon that Scott McNeil voiced. So you have Rat Trap, Silverbolt, Waspinator and Dinobot. Rat Trap in his Transmetal form, giving a nice cheeky grin. Really cool, actually. Oh, you just realised you got a tiny little Rat Trap down there. Little mouse Rat Trap. Very cool. Yeah, really do like this. That's very nice, actually, on some nice card as well. I'll probably get this up somewhere, but wall space is now becoming a problem as well. Similar vein, and this was given to me. A few things were given to me, actually. I got a nice little TFNation artwork of Dinobot riding Transmetal Rat Trap. I don't know who designed this. I think it was Spiderfather who gave it to me, but clearly this was given to him. as a giveaway or give out. So apologies for not naming the person who did design this. It's very nice, and yeah, nice one. I've got to get a bit of a scrapbook for this now. So Spider Father, dear friend, who I gave him his own present this year, makes a change. I'll put the photo up of the two of us. Whereas he's been a good supporter of the channel, I gave him one of my t-shirts that's on my merch store. Knowing he is a big Beast Wars fan himself, I got him a nice one with Inferno on it, which he really loved and instantly ran up to his room to change into. He didn't have to do that. But as always, he's been giving me nice presents for TF Nation, lockdowns, mini Cheetos, what have you. And so I've got a lovely one this year. When it was put on the table in front of us, it did bring people over as a conversation starter. And I have got a gold plastic, God help us, Razor Beast. Now, okay, from what I can understand, this is Takara's C-34 Randy figure, because he was called Randy out there, not Razor Beast. I don't really know as to whether it's a commemorative edition otherwise, but it's definitely Japanese on the back of it. It's in its box now. He wants me to do a review on this. I will, Lee. I will. And I will take it out of its box, but it ain't going to be today. I've got to put some gloves on for this, because this is just going to break. And I just want to leave him in his box. He's so cool. I will try and do something. As anyone will know, this particular line of Beast Wars were effectively one-step changes. You pull up his tail and it all transforms and explodes out. Explode is going to be the word. And I've got to work up some confidence. I'll get there, Lee. But it's not this day. Even further Beast Wars, I have a bubbled sealed pterosaur, which is lovely. I'm actually going to keep him in his little bubble, in his little shell, and put him up on the box on the wall, mount him like that. Lovely. I've got this figure from way back when, and it's played with to death. I think one of his wings is damaged or something. But again, one-step changer for a character who I'm very, very fond of, and anything pterosaur is going to be good. So thank you very much, Lee. I'm going to probably put him on the side of one of my cabinets here. Yeah, that's going to be lovely. Additionally, Lee gave me something else, but later on, I might as well show you now. Mix Mashers, and it's an Optimus Primal. Now, they all come with stuff, but as the box art suggests, you kind of just get characters, and you can throw a Megatron with a Bumblebee, with an Optimus Primal, and it's just a bit of a mash of everything. I think I remember these, but with that new line that comes out recently, where you can put like a cheetah and a Tigertron together, I forget what it was. I thought that's what this was, but okay, that's cool, very nice. I don't know where I'm going to put it, but thank you very much. One of my first stops was In Demand Toys. Got a couple of things from there, but the first thing I picked up finally was Onyx Prime. My own fault on this one, because I put the pre-order in with In Demand, and it stayed in the basket because I put it in with items that won't be coming out for another month. So I went there and I grabbed the box and I just cancelled the pre-order. That's why I've got it a bit later than everybody else. Everyone says it's good. Really looking forward to getting this open. Very cool. Coincidentally, in a bit of an impulse buy, I picked up Vector Prime from Legacy. I always felt he looked cool, and I'm not in for all the Primes, but I just looked at it and thought, do I want this or do I want Cosmos? I'm now wondering, should I got Cosmos? But I've got him. He's very nice. Got him from In Demand as well. As I mentioned before, my good friend Sam's Formers, knows I'm after all these blocky Sharkticons for storage boxes, and gave me one of those. So that's lovely. That will get filled up in no time at all. I am very much army building these. If you've got hundreds of thousands of them, please send them my way. Blockies gave me this. It is the Universal Connector, and it's a little tin that comes with stuff, obviously, and it's like additional hinges that can be universal joints that can go on your figures. So if you want to put on other things, I'll try and get it in the focus, you can see you can kind of put stuff on their backs and have additional points for shoulders and legs. Very, very cool. Which also came in a very nice Blockies tote bag. I did arrange a pickup with a friend of mine, Andy Gold, who you should check out on YouTube, by the way. He's very new to the YouTube scene, and he does some very short, quick reviews. Very funny, very much worth a watch. Put a link in the description below. But it was more Beast Wars pickups. It was Magnaboss. Now, yes, I have kind of gone through the combining phase of it, but I tried doing it yesterday and I was just too tired. So I will pick it up and I will get it combined into Magnaboss. But I got it in its 3 pieces and I picked it up off Andy. Yes, I know to watch out for Silverbolt. I will be careful, but if it shatters, it shatters. And for those of you who know, I got this from Brandon when he was on my live stream a couple of weeks ago now. I gave him a task to do a drawing of a Transformer, to which he's drawn Arrow-Firetron, and that's me, apparently, as a stick figure. Thank you, Brandon. Nice little present. Couple of bits of artwork. I went over to Chris Carter to pick up this lovely incarnation of Rails. No, this isn't an official thing. This came up in the unreleased script of the 1986 movie, and I think people thought it was gospel. But this is something that Chris did for that panel in the lovely 86 artwork, and it's just gorgeous. I've been meaning to get it, and I finally pulled the plug, or pulled the trigger, and decided to get it. Really, really nice. And I said to him at the time, thank you for doing this. If you can arrange for it to be a toy as well, that'd be greatly appreciated. Now you might be thinking, did he get any Predacons or a Razor Claw? It is something that I tend to do at conventions. Sadly, there were none this year. There was stuff available, but I didn't get it. However, I did get given something from Marcus Prime, a friend of mine, who gave me a nice 100-page book from, well, it's an IDW era Beast Wars, and it is the power of the Predacons, and as such, whilst it does aim a lot around the Gathering and has the first issues of the Gathering comic in there, which we recently reviewed on a podcast, by the way, it's got some of the Predacon-esque issues. So I've got lovely versions of Predaking in here, the Jazz Spotlight from IDW, where he single-handedly takes on all 5 of the Predacons, and even at the end, you have more famous battle in Marvel with Predacons against Dinobots, with Dive Bomb very much having his way, with Swoop taking his name. It's a Predacon-infused comic. It's really, really cool, and so it might be the closest thing I can do to a Predacon or Razor Claw pickup for the convention, but a dedicated Predacon comic nevertheless, and I got that for free. Thank you very much, Mark. It's a lovely, lovely present. Off to Leicester Vintage Toys. Well, I must admit, I didn't twig it was them at first, but I finally got Magenta Hot Rod. I wanted to get this, and it was there for a lovely, lovely price, and he's very, very cool. The box art's selling it, though. It really is nice. But I've taken him out, and there he is. Look at that pinky goodness. Oh, it's lovely. Might not come across as pink, but yeah, he's really, really cool. It's one of my few actual G1 pickups of the event, just by happenstance. But yeah, very pleased I got it. I then went over to friends at Max and Me Loves Toys, who was a little bit tucked towards the back this year, but he recognised me straight away. It was lovely to see him. Had some lovely third-party wares available, and one I did not think I would find, certainly not for the price I got it for. MMC's Turmoil. Didn't cost £300. My God, this goes for crazy money because it's so hard to find. I think it was a limited product run, and it's definitely a mould of its own. But what I paid for it didn't go into 3 figures. That was incredible. So pleased with this. And I just looked at it and I said to him immediately, I would like to buy this off you. 1 Turmoil, please. He looks great. He is a little bit smaller for the bot that he's representing, but that's MMC going for the smaller range. Absolutely love him, and I think he's going to really dance in the light box as well. He just looks brilliant. Thank you very much, James. That's so cool. Something I did not think I'd get. And I went and visited my good friend David Cousins, who had a nice little stall in the corner selling his wares, and one I knew he was working on for the event, so I had to get it myself. All of the Maximals firing into battle or running or gorillaing, whatever you want to call it. And you've got everyone on here from Rhinox, Silverbolt, Black Arachnia, technically a Predacon, but alright, I'll allow it. Tiger Hawk, Air Razor, Rat Trap in every form, I think. Depth Charge as well, it just looks so cool. Cheetor absolutely sprinting in. That's lovely. And he signed it as well for me. So you can't necessarily see all of the room, but pretty much everything on my wall, if it's not a guitar, it is some of David's artwork. So he's taking over my house. Damn you, David. Love this. Thank you so much. I'm really, really pleased with it. Oh, it's got Transmetal 2 Cheetor as well. I didn't notice that. Lovely. It's cool, and I think this sold pretty well as well. I do want to give a shout out to another artist, Lucan's Tees. He designed the Hawaiian top that was being worn around, purple Hawaiian top. And it was a very good identifier to find him because he was wearing it. And then everyone was wearing it. So I could not believe the sea of purple Hawaiian tops out there. But that went down very well. Very pleased for him. And I'm not going to forget my good friends at Primetime Toys. I finally went back and got one I've never been getting from Transart, which is Transmetal Tarantulas. Black Arachnia. That's the one. Close enough. Sorry, Lee. I did hold off from getting this figure because I didn't feel it needed that design. I was quite happy with her original design, but with Transart now no longer existing, at least under that guise, I thought, alright, I'll backtrack a bit and get this. So, kind of filling a gap in the collection. Thank you very much, Graham. It's a Beast Wars run to the end. I went over to Spacebridge and picked up a boxed Beast Wars Rampage, Transmetal Rampage. I've got this, I had this back in the day, played with it to death, and it's missing everything. This is complete. This looks great. It's tethered down. It's in its box. And it's going to come out of its box. I'm sorry, it is. But I want to have it where I can put it in tank mode. I was going to get the depth charge of this as well, but with TransArt Designs making their way to another company, Robot Toys, if they come to pass, I'm happy to kind of mess around with this for now. And then I'll try and see if Masterpiece Editions come out. But man, he's cool. He just looks so good. He's one of my favourite Beast Wars characters. It's just a brilliant, brilliant toy. Really pleased I got this. And then finishing off right at the end, through a private sale, I found this that was being sold at one of the stalls, but not necessarily from the company. It was a private sale of Perfect Effect Mega Doragon. Transmetal 2 Beast Wars Megatron. So this has been out for a little bit. I remember Jobby the Hong's review, 2018. So yeah, it's been out a while now. I've said before, I've never been absolutely wild on this design of Megatron. I think the Tyrannosauruses are a better look for him. But this does look good, and very much on a Beast Wars high at this point of the convention. Of course, doing the podcast as well. Don't worry, I took it out of the box. I mean, just for context, that's the tail. And there is the rest of it. Glorious. Wings will be fanned out. Dragon heads will be fully extended, and very much the legacy version of this will be sold. Yeah, he's very, very cool. Guys, again, we're getting the Perfect Effects Gorilla Optimal Optimus. I thought, oh, maybe I have got to get him now. The price was very reasonable for what it is, for the absolute hulking size of it, and I just love it. So, very, very pleased with this. I was able to get this and go and show it to Moff at Primetime Toys, and his face dropped when he saw it. It's a very, very cool figure. The only thing that was a slight shame in terms of pickups is there was a couple of things I wanted. I wanted Legacy Magmatron, the Commander class. Couldn't find that anywhere, surprisingly. I wanted to get a Takara Lyo Convoy. Again, these are all Beast Wars figures. Couldn't find that. Apparently that was at Space Bridge and I missed it. And then finally was going to be hopefully the last piece of the Fans Toys Stunticons, Bandit, their dead end, to finish off Menasor. But annoyingly for Primetime, not their fault of course, they received the delivery straight after TFNation rather than a few days before. It's just a bit of a shame, but the way it goes. But that will be making its way to me, so expect a review very soon. And that's it. Want to do a quick shout out to people that I did forget. I hung out with Sammy. Thank you, Sammy. It was nice watching you work as well. Bisto, how you doing, Bisto? Good to talk to you as well. Toy-Fu, how can I forget to mention this? They have met their, and now surpassed, their lifetime achievement goal of donating £250,000 to Mary's Meals, which I thought was just brilliant. It's just incredible. To everyone who's been associated with this since 2009, the work, the uptake, to keep it going, to have the drive to continue to do so as well, is really just incredible. And just well done to everyone associated to TF Nation. It's such a lovely community. I love the fact that the likes of Neil Kaplan and Evan Michael Lee, you really showed on them that they were outside the circles. They haven't been before, maybe not the likes of Greg Berger, regular attendees, and it really landed on them as to how special this place is. And now the blues are just kicking in, but really great to meet everybody, really great to just see what everyone brings to the table. I do feel like a very small fish in a very large pond, certainly when it comes to YouTube. There's some real titans there just doing great work, helping out, contributing in so many ways. And what can I say, man, it's just been great to be a part of. I'm sorry it's over, but I'm really pleased with the time that was had. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share and hit the subscribe button. Become a TF Nation patron if you like to. Help the convention in other ways. I will be there in Reading, and I will certainly be there in August 26. As always, I will see you on the next one.